Lisa, you got this reporting. Walk us through it.
Well, Anna, one of the things I can tell you is that based on documents that are available in the Epstein files, and we're just going to hold up to you what allowed us to get to this reporting. This is an index of witness statements from people who were not expected to testify at Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, but whose statements were nonetheless produced to her defense counsel in the run-up to her 2021 trial. We also have a smaller one with respect to those who were expected to testify. And based on those indices, as well as documents available in the file, MS Now can report that there is at least one witness for whom 3 interviews with the FBI in rapid succession in 2019 are missing. And you might say, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about that is that we can also confirm that that woman is the same person who in a 2025 FBI presentation is identified to have accused Donald Trump of a sexual assault when she was between 13 and 15 years old. We know that based on a human source who has confirmed to us that this woman is one and the same. So I want to make this very clear. There is a woman who, according to the FBI and documents compiled last summer, accused Donald Trump of sexually assaulting and physically abusing her. One of the things in her accusation is that in addition to forcing her to perform oral sex, he also hit her in that same episode. We have now connected that woman to someone who was interviewed by the FBI 4 times in 2019. Of those 4 interview memoranda, which are listed in this index that I'm holding up right here, only one of them can be seen. And in that interview, the accusations against Trump are not present. At the most, she says that she had met Trump on one occasion without detailing it. And when asked how she understood that Epstein was a person who committed abuse against her, she showed FBI agents a picture that she had been sent by a friend. It was a picture that she was reluctant to share with FBI agents because there was somebody else in the photograph. It turned out to be, according to this interview memo, a well-known photograph of Epstein and Trump together. She said that she was reluctant to show them the full image, lest she incriminate someone that she feared could retaliate against her. That's all that we know from what's publicly available in the files. But we know that this woman had other accusations against Trump. Where they are listed or where they've been memorialized, we're not sure. But we can tell you and our viewers that there are 3 other interview memoranda taken by the FBI that are not present anywhere in the Epstein files. And this is a problem that we expect may have recurred with dozens of other witnesses whose files may not have been produced in their totality. Again, this index gives a unique numerical identifier to more than 500 witnesses and lists in numerical order the kinds of documents from which their statements were taken, everything from FBI interview memos to Palm Beach police incident reports to handwritten notes and the like. Going through those methodically, you can see as a layperson or as a reporter what has been produced in the files and what hasn't. And it's our expectation and understanding that there are many other instances in which witnesses, many of whom were alleged victims, don't have all of their statements produced. If these were important enough to give to Ghislaine Maxwell's defense, it's unclear to me what the rationale is for withholding them from the American public, particularly given the text of the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
What's the rationale given by the DOJ? Have they given any reason for withholding these documents?
MS Now has not yet obtained a statement from the Department of Justice. However, NPR, which was the first to report on this morning, has obtained a statement from the White House in which they haven't defended the lack of transparency with respect to these 3 interview memoranda. Instead, they have fallen back on their defense that Donald Trump is the most transparent president in history, that he has fully committed to producing documents in compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. That's a defense that rings hollow to many of us who have been through these files and have seen not only over-redaction with respect to some suspects, over-redaction with respect to some individuals, under-redaction with respect to survivors, and now inexplicable withholding of documents.
So,